Hi, everybody. Peter Greenberg here. Welcome to this week's edition of Facebook's Global Travel Update Live, of course. You may want to wonder where I am. You hear a lot of noise behind me. They're making some announcements. I'm on board the new Silver Sea Silver Dawn in Lisbon in the port. It's a brand new ship built during the pandemic. It's making its maiden voyage next week, and we're out here checking it out. And it's indicative, I think, of what's happening in the cruise industry, since about 24 different ships were built during the pandemic, and they're now coming into service now. Most importantly, though, before we ever get to any of that, let's talk to the deteriorating situation in Ukraine and what we can still do to help out. I urge you to go to our website, petergreenberg.com, for more information on all the aid and relief organizations doing all that hard and essential work, especially in Ukraine. I want to give a shout out to AmeriCares, Doctors Without Borders, All Hands and Hearts, and OperationUSA.org. These are the guys with boots on the ground, with people delivering critical supplies and relief to the people who need it the most in these devastated areas as the situation continues to deteriorate in Ukraine. So please do whatever you can, as often as you can. It doesn't look like the situation is going to be resolved anytime soon. And from all the reports that we're getting and that you're getting, the situation is deteriorating with airstrikes now. So we will obviously monitor the situation. But that also brings up the point of what's happening in the world of travel, with 60% of the world's airspace essentially cut off over the Kamchatka Peninsula in Asia, which is, of course, Russia, over northern Europe, going eastbound over Turkey. A lot of that stuff's cut off, and of course, over the Ukraine. What it doesn't mean is that you can't travel. You have to travel smartly. I'm here in Portugal. I'm in Western Europe. You can go to Spain, Italy, France, United Kingdom. There is every reason to believe that Putin is not going to cross a NATO border. And as a result, the airfares here have not gone up. In fact, they've plummeted. So it is an opportunity for responsible travel. I would also urge you that if you're going to come over here, you should book it on a U.S. carrier so that if you have to cancel for whatever reason, you're not going to lose your money. You won't get hit with draconian ticket change fees. A lot of the foreign carriers love those change fees. They haven't learned their lesson from their American counterparts that it engenders an incredible amount of ill will. So go with a U.S. carrier and monitor the situation and then make an informed decision. It also is leading to something called trip stacking. A lot of people making double and triple reservations to different destinations, sort of hedging their bets as to where they want to go this summer, depending on the situation in those localities. So double check that as well, again, with this carrier. But again, not just the carrier you have to worry about, it's the hotel, the tour operator, or the travel provider, to make sure that you get a mutually agreeable definition of terms as to what your refund rights are if you need to cancel, or even if they cancel. We all learned painful lessons during the pandemic about what happened when underfunded companies decided to give you vouchers or credits for future trips you were never going to take. So do your homework, get it in writing, follow it up with a confirming email, and you'll be protected. Now, speaking of airfares, that is not the case in the United States. Airfares are soaring almost exponentially. I talked a little bit about this last week. It's gotten worse. 3 weeks ago, my airfare from Los Angeles to San Francisco was $93. Today, it's over $360. That's almost 4 times the amount. And that's happening across the board in the United States. Because what you have is a sort of intersection between growing demand, which we expect at this time of the year, airlines cutting capacity because they're overscheduled and understaffed, and then, of course, the rise in oil. All of that is combining to jump that price of your airline ticket quadruple, and it's only going to get worse as we get closer to the summer. What does that mean for people who want to take road trips? I don't have to tell you about the pain at the pump. It's getting worse there too. However, the tipping point for car trips is nowhere near the tipping point for airline trips. Let's do the math. That $93 fare that just went to $360, that means for a family of 4, you're over $1,400. The actual cost of putting gas in the tank and taking a 3 or 4 day road trip is going to add about $250 to the cost of that trip. Divide that by 4, and it becomes relatively more affordable. The word relatively being used because you have to. We're going to see those kinds of disparities throughout the summer. And again, it's only going to get worse if this trend continues, and it shows every indication that it will. Of course, if you've got some questions for me, you send them in today. We'll deal with them right now. But bottom line is, you've got work to do, and you've got to do it quickly. Same thing with frequent flyer miles. If you've got frequent flyer miles sitting around and you're not redeeming them now, up to 330 days out, you are a loser, because the airlines are devaluing those miles by the day because they can and because they need to. They want to sell revenue seats. They don't want to give away seats. And that means that what it used to cost you to redeem a mile just went up in terms of the mileage levels needed, and how many miles it's going to get you to get there in terms of how you earn the miles just got more difficult. So follow along with this and make the logical conclusion that you need to redeem them now. Again, airlines are not banks. You're not earning interest on your miles. You're giving them an interest-free loan on so many other different areas. Why would you do this now? Okay? As long as we're in concert on that, we'll continue. All right. Now, a little bit of word about cruises. This is the new Silver Dawn, part of the Silver Sea Fleet. It's their 10th ship. And what's cool about this ship is it's a new luxury ship. It is not a 6,000 passenger ship. It holds about 600 passengers. That's if it's at full capacity, which most cruise ships today are not. That's intentional. Although the demand for cruising is soaring as well. To give you an idea of how much it's soaring, I may have talked about this last week, but it's worth repeating. It's wild. Last week, Oceania, another cruise line, another luxury cruise line, put up for sale their 2024 World Cruise. Not their 2023. No, that's already sold out. Their 2024 World Cruise. It's a 180-day itinerary, which happens to be one of the most expensive tickets in the business. The minimum cost per cabin, per passenger, two to a cabin, is $47,000 per person. That's $94,000 as a minimum for two people to travel on that trip, all the way up to $190,000 per person. All right, you ready? The cruise was put up for sale last week. It sold out in 30 minutes. That'll give you an idea about pent-up demand for cruising. All right, now let's go to some of your notes and questions. We'll try to get through as many as we can. All right, Jack is saying hi from Indiana. All right, and from Orlando, Florida, from Scott. Mei Ling, hey Mei Ling, my old buddy from LA. Good morning. George is saying hello, but I have no idea where George is. Alexander McCummon. Bom dia. Okay, we're now talking Portuguese. Obrigado. Patrick Cooney, who I just saw recently, is saying hi. Robin DeCarlos from Williamsburg. Robin always checks in. Willie's saying hello from Atchison, Kansas, another one of our regulars. Jeannie is saying hello from Austin. I was visiting New York City last week, and I was happy to see you in person at the travel show. That's right. I was speaking at the Travel Adventure Show. By the way, next weekend, April 2nd and 3rd, I'll be speaking at the Travel and Adventure Show in Dallas, Texas. So if you're anywhere near there, please stop by and see me. I appreciate that. Colleen says we'll be traveling through the Croatian islands on mostly multi-hull crafts like catamarans in May. I've never had issues with seasickness before, but just in case, any suggestions as to preventive measures? Well, first of all, being on a catamaran does not absolve you of the possibility of being seasick. It may mean the ship is a little more stable. By the way, I've not been in very rough seas in Croatia, but let's assume they are. Here's how you protect yourself, or at least mitigate it. Don't take Dramamine. It knocks you out. Take Marazine. And all those little patches, for me, they don't work. First of all, I don't take them because I don't get seasick. I know, but I also live on a boat. That helps. But in your case, Marazine, not Dramamine. Okay? All right. Oh, and by the way, if you're on the catamaran, try to face forward on the upper deck so you can actually gauge the horizon. Anytime you're not doing that, you have no point of reference, and your stomach will punish you for that. All right. Hey, hello from America's Dairyland. Oh, the former Miss Limburger, Stephanie Klett. How are you, Stephanie? All right, here we go. Catherine saying hi. ML saying good morning from Cave Creek, Arizona. All right. By the way, speaking of hotspots, and you didn't think I was on a ship? Behind me, that horn is from the Silver Seas sister ship to the Silver Dawn, the Silver Moon. They're both here. They're just saying hello to each other, as ships do. All right, speaking of hotspots, because you just mentioned Arizona, I did a report on the truly hotspots in the world right now. Oh, they're answering. Hear them? So that, thank you. All right. Speaking of hotspots, we did a report on the truly hotspots in the world if you're worried about global warming. Of course, the one in the United States that always wins the award is Death Valley. But then there's something else. There's a place called Lut. It's the desert in Iran. They got up to 159 degrees a couple of years ago. Yikes. It's getting hot. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Is PCR testing required to enter Lisbon? It is. Or rapid antigen, but it is required. You have to do it. It's one of the few countries that's still doing it, although it's being dropped. Let's talk about that. It's being dropped in so many other countries around the world, either as a test to get on the plane or as a test once you're in the country. And of course, the mask requirement is falling apart now. It's falling apart in England. Almost every British airline, whether it's BA or EasyJet or Ryanair, they've dumped it, right? Not the government, they just dumped it. Cruise ships are dumping it. If you look behind me, you don't see anybody wearing a mask except for crew. Of course, you can't get on the ship unless you can show proof of vaccination, and you have to get tested before you get on the ship. Not at the airport, not before you get on the plane, here in Portugal before you get on the ship. So those rules are still in place. But with all of that said, I'm still going to need a test to get back to the United States when I fly back, and that's that 24-hour rule that's still in place. Hopefully that will be ending by May 1st, along with the mask mandate. As you know, they extended the deadline from March 18th to April 18th, and that'll be with us for a while. Something tells me, I'm just throwing this out there, they're not going to end it on April 18th. They're going to extend it through Memorial Day weekend. So my target date for no masks, no tests, and no other restrictions will probably be June 1st, again, for vaccinated passengers only. It's really the metric here. It's about the number of people getting vaccinated. It's not about cases, hospitalizations, or deaths. All right, let's keep going. Thank you for those nice words, Salim. Robert's from Japan. Joy, going to Cancun from Philadelphia June 3rd. Airfare is over $500 to go on AA. Should I book my flight now or wait to see if it'll go down on the 50 doorway? No, listen, here's what's happening. Those algorithms are basically getting evaporated simply because demand is intersecting with a decrease in capacity. It's a basic law of supply and demand. No, I would say go ahead and do that. I know as painful as that is, do it. All right, Camilla says hi from Tucson, and Priya is saying watching from Irvine, California. Catherine saying hello from sunny Dallas, Texas. All right, hi Peter from Rob and Lauren. My friend Rob New and my trusty radio assistant, his daughter Lauren, who helps me out every time we're in Denver. Speaking of which, Lauren, get ready. I'm coming to Denver April 30th and May 1st. You better get ready. We have a show to do. All right. Hi from the MSC Seashore. All right, Roseanne. And good morning from Torrance. We were just in Torrance. We did the radio show there. We loved it. And by the way, the Western Museum of Flight, well worth visiting. Okay. Rosemary's saying hi from St. Croix. Angie's saying hi from cool Florida. Okay. Here's a question. Will cruise ships be able to stop in Canada ports this summer? Yes, they will. Alaska's open. They open their ports. So Alaska's going to have a summer cruise season. Now, here's the interesting irony. Whether the cruise ships will choose to stop in Canada on the way up north, who knows? Because remember, they got a waiver from President Biden, getting rid of that Passenger Vessel Act that required you to stop in a foreign port before going between two U.S. ports. That waiver may be extended. If it is, a lot of Canadian cities, they get bypassed. You'll spend more days at sea and see more of Alaska. What's wrong with that? Okay, well, I'll find out, by the way. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. Robert says $3.99 Amtrak travel pass for 30 days. Well, guess what? I got a better one. Amtrak's had this one on the books for a long time. They just came out with this $3.99 pass for 30 days. But for many years, Amtrak's had one on the books. They never promoted. They never talked about it. You couldn't find it online. You could only go through a travel agent. They couldn't find it online. It was for $500. You got 30 days of unlimited travel, right? Kids under 12 for $250. They even had a 15-day version. So if this $3.99 is what it says it is, it's going to give you unlimited travel with on-off privileges everywhere you go. So there you go. We'll find out about it. But I will say this, Amtrak has done a terrible job of making people aware of their deals. At the same time, I'm a big fan of Amtrak. Okay. Here's one from Alexandra. Thoughts of traveling to Istanbul this summer? Hey, take me with you. I love going to Istanbul. As many of you may know, in the interest of full transparency, my wife is Turkish, so I think she'll be taking me. But the point is, what a great time to go. And it's not just Istanbul. Get out to Eastern Turkey. Get down to the coast of the Mediterranean. See some of the hidden Turkey that we did on our special on PBS called Hidden Turkey. In fact, go on Amazon Prime or Apple TV, and you'll see that show. All right, let's keep going here. Heading to Northern Europe and London next month. Excited to travel again. Good for you, Farrell. Okay. Sean is saying, greetings from Miami. My wife and I are planning a trip in July. Have you ever taken trains in northern Spain? We want to go from San Sebastian to Galicia, pronounced correctly, and then to Porto. You know what? The Spanish trains are good. Portuguese trains, not so good. But Spanish trains, very, very good. And I've taken them a lot. And if you're going up to northern Spain, which you mentioned San Sebastian, that's northeastern Spain, try northwestern Spain. And that's Galicia. That's La Coruña. Unbelievable seafood. All right? You'll have a great time. And if you're going to Porto, I have an admission to make. I've now fallen in love with a restaurant in Porto. The name of the restaurant is 1756. Everything on the menu is stupendous, but they have one thing on the menu. It's so good, I would almost schedule a trip back to Porto just for that restaurant. It's salmon tataki, but it's not salmon tataki that you get in your local sushi bar in Cleveland. I'm sorry. This is unbelievable. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. The name of the restaurant, 1756. Unbelievable wine, of course, unbelievable port, but unbelievable salmon tataki. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. All right. Mary says hello from Red Bank, New Jersey. We've gone from Porto to Red Bank. Okay. Greetings from Nevis. We love Nevis. Okay. Roseanne says, Viking just changed my Homeland cruise itinerary for May 2023. Glad they are thinking in advance. No Russia, obviously, but plenty of Norway. That's right. The cruise lines have had to pivot in the wake of Ukraine. So no port calls in, obviously, St. Petersburg. Odessa's off. All the other Russian ports that they might be in, including the Russian Far East, which have ports and that Silver Sea goes to. They won't be going until the situation is resolved and then some. Okay. Karen says, hi from Townsend, Delaware. And she loves the sound effect. I had nothing to do with it. Those are real horns from real ships. Jude's back with us from Japan. Katrina's saying hello from Alabama. Joseph, Mom, Jumbo Peter listening from Nairobi, Kenya. And we are open for tourist travel. And the government has dropped the need to have PCR negative tests. All right, if you're fully vaccinated. Thanks for that update, Joseph. Here's one from Karen. It says, she's in Oceanside. I just bought a round-trip first-class ticket on Delta for May going from San Diego to Reagan National for $11.71. I ended up getting an immediate credit of $200 off the ticket right away as I purchased the ticket on my Amex card, which is connected to my Delta Airlines account. You know, if you play the game, you could get a lot of discounts that way. Last week on the show, I had my friend, the actor Robert Wool. Remember him from Batman and one of my favorite series, Arliss? Go back and listen to that show as a podcast. This guy has figured out every connection in the world to maximize his points and miles with this credit card and some guy named Irving, and it's unbelievable. If you take the time to truly investigate the benefits on your cards, especially the ones that have relatively high annual fees in terms of their annual membership rates, you might be surprised at how much of that money you get back. Okay, Zach saying hello from Houston, heading down to Colombia tomorrow. Okay, buen viaje. Priya says, I love when cruise ships sound and play the horn. Except one cruise ship. I'm going to say it right now. It drove me nuts. And by the way, the rest of the cruise line that I'm talking about does an excellent job. That's Disney. First of all, when I went on that cruise ship, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck with It's a Small World After All for 7 days at sea. Okay, that didn't happen. The second thing I thought was the food at Disney never was good. The food on this ship was great. But then the one thing that drove me nuts, the horn on the ship. You heard the horns before, right? Just single blasts. Not on the Disney ship. Let me give you my impression of the Disney horn. Bah, 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 bah. How many times you want to listen to that before you take hostages? You tell me. All right, let's move on. Okay. Rice is saying hi from Austin. Mike is saying just back to Fort Lauderdale from the Seabourn Odyssey. Okay. Catherine's hi from San Diego. Watching from Tanzania. We welcome travelers in Tanzania. Yes, you do. And speaking of that, a little plug for our upcoming show. It's premiering next month. It's the Royal Tour of Tanzania with the president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, an amazing woman with an amazing story. She just celebrated her first year in office. How she got the job and what she's doing in the job, that's part of the remarkable story. But she's my tour guide for an hour, just the two of us, as we crisscross this amazing country. And because Severin just said this, hello from Tanzania, this gives me the idea that I think you should see the trailer for the show. So, Anthony, more horns. Run the trailer. Prepare yourself for an epic adventure through a land inhabited by peoples who cling tightly to ancient traditions, while their fellow countrymen freely embrace the marvels of modern life. It's a place that lays claim to being the cradle of all mankind, and boasts of fabled spice islands of rare beauty that reveal both a dark past and a shining example of how people of differing traditions can live together in peace and friendship. And on this trip, you'll sleep under the ocean, soar over the loftiest peak on this vast continent, float just above the reach of magnificent beasts, and descend deep underground in search of rare, precious gemstones found nowhere else on Earth. And our guide on this special journey is someone who knows this country better than most. She's explored its expansive terrain, talked to its many peoples, and championed their dreams. She's a woman who's lifted herself from humble beginnings and overcame cultural challenges to confidently lead this country onto the world stage at a critical time in its development. Her name is Samia Suluhu Hassan, and she is the president of Tanzania. So buckle up. For the next hour, we're going on an exclusive inside the security bubble trip with this sitting head of state as she shows us her country as only she can. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Tanzania, the Royal Tour. And that was your shameless self-promotion plug. Again, April 21st, it premieres on PBS. Check your local listings. And then it's also available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. It's Tanzania, the Royal Tour on PBS. Time for a trivia question, folks. This is a trick one. Listen up. Which airport was recently named the busiest for international travel with around 29 million passengers last year? You think you know it? I'll read it again. Which airport was named the busiest airport in the world for international travel last year? They had about 29 million passengers fly in and out of it. All right, guess away. I'll give you some time. Meantime, I'll scroll down here. Okay. All right. Here's one from Knoxville, Tennessee. My family will be traveling to the Dominican Republic over Memorial Day weekend. Can you think of anything we need to know about traveling there? Yeah, book it now. And also, if you're staying at an all-inclusive, get down to a mutually agreeable definition of terms of what they define as all-inclusive. It might surprise you as to what is and what is not covered. The words are used a little too loosely down there. We got more announcements behind me. Indonesia is scheduled to open April 1st. I'm hesitant to book a trip for the summer due to the new variant. Here's what I just said before. Go ahead and book it. Book it on a U.S. carrier. And if you can't get a U.S. carrier, book it on a U.S. carrier with a code share with a foreign carrier, part of the Star Alliance, right? If you have to cancel, you're not going to lose your money. But just make sure that you do it that way. Roll the dice now. Remember, this is not about eradicating a virus. It's about managing it. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're all trying to do. And we're going to get to that point where we can actually manage it and live our lives with a great degree of comfort and confidence. So my advice to you is do your homework, not just with the airline, but with the tour operator, the hotel, whatever the travel provider is, to make sure you're protected, then go ahead and book it. And if anybody asks you to give them their payment upfront in full 6 months ahead of time, run, don't walk. That is not fair to you, and it's an indication that they may be undercapitalized. Okay, here we go. George Stanley says, happy to host you one day on Mount Kilimanjaro on the top roof. Yeah, but first I got up to the top roof. We actually flew over Kilimanjaro with the president, and you'll see that on the show. What an amazing experience that was. Thank you, George. Here's one from Stuart. It says, the Amtrak 399 is based on segments, not unlimited. You see what I mean? They had one that was a regional unlimited. Now they've replaced it. They're not being clear, but thank you again, Stuart, for telling me that. Stuart also gave us a link for that, which we can post as to how you can find that train deal. All right, here we go. Angela says, I'll be in Porto next month. 1756 it is. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. You should also order their sashimi, their new age sashimi. That and the salmon tataki, you will be back every night. All right, Janice is saying hi from Chicago, going to Italy in October with a group of friends. 3 of them are not vaccinated. They think the rule for vaccination will change, and you won't need them. All right, your friends, okay, ready? They're a little challenged. Vaccinations are here to stay. Had you not noticed that? Tell your friends, because they won't be going with you. They'll be quarantined in a hotel watching reruns of Wheel of Fortune. Okay? Get vaccinated. All right. By the way, speaking of vaccinations, remember the 270-day cutoff? Well, it's still in effect. Most countries, if you got your last vaccination more than 270 days ago, some of you did, because remember, vaccinations came out in late January, early February of 2021, you won't be allowed in. Now, if you've got a booster, that qualifies as a vaccination. Within that 270-day period, you're good to go. But we're getting to a little tipping point here where we're probably going to get that second booster. So keep those days in mind. Not to mention some countries like Israel have made it a 180-day cutoff, which is only 6 months. All right. Here's one from Jack going to the Azores, Madeira, Lisbon, and Porto this fall. Please advise what you've done to review such. Oh, I can tell you that. We did an amazing series of specials on the Azores, the westernmost islands in the Atlantic. An amazing set of islands that are really caught in time, and it's wonderful that they are. So if you go back and you can go on Amazon Prime and check out our series on the Travel Detective on the Azores, you'll see that. All right. Costa's World of Music Memories. Hello from Jim and Harriet from Heilbronn, Germany, where we are now. All right. Welcome from Germany. Spain, Gibraltar, and Portugal cruise in May, says Juan. Go for it. I love it. By the way, what's the shortest major international flight in the world? Anybody want to know? It's the flight from Gibraltar to Tangier in Morocco. You should take it when you're there. It's 7 minutes. And the airport runway in Gibraltar is a street. They have to clear it before you land. Talk about crazy, but it's worth it. And watch your belongings in Gibraltar. The monkeys will steal them. Okay. All right. Suzanne says, I love the Disney horns. Okay. Well, with enough alcohol, anything is possible, Suzanne. Adrian Ambrose says, hello from Coral Gables, Florida. Heading to Italy in May, given current situation in Ukraine. Any suggestions? Go. But before you go, do what I said at the top of this broadcast. Go on our website. Check out Doctors Without Borders, AmeriCares, All Hands and Hearts, at OperationUSA.org. We need your help. The people in Ukraine need our help. And these are the guys who are frontline. 3 of the ones are frontline. All Hands and Hearts, they're second responders. They go in when everything's over, when everybody forgets it and it's not on the front pages anymore, and they rebuild it. And one of the things they do is they rebuild the schools. Because if you don't have schools, you don't have community. And if you don't have schools, the parents can't go to work. They're at home with the kids. Very smart that they're doing it. It was actually started by an amazing woman. You may know her, one of the supermodels, Petra Nemkova. I'm proud to work with her on this organization. She has rebuilt built so many schools around the world where you've had natural disasters or wars or civil disturbances. And big shout out to Petra and allhandsandhearts.org. Okay, here's one from Mike saying Slava. Okay, Wellington, hello from Brazil. Wellington, you still owe me an email. Okay, Angie Fuentes is in Miami. Paul's saying Istanbul, that's where you want to be. Oh no, that was your guess. Ah, I see where we're going. Now we're getting the guesses in. All right, so Paul's guessing Istanbul is the busiest international airport. Angie says Miami. Karen says Atlanta. Priya says Changi in Singapore. Robert says Doha. Mike says Atlanta. Rosemary says Amsterdam. Lorraine says Heathrow. It's not Heathrow. It's not any of those, by the way. It's not Atlanta. Colleen. Colleen, in case you got it, it's Dubai. But listen to this figure. It was $29 million last year, which won them the award. You know what it was in 2019? It wasn't $29 million. It was $86.4 million. Because if you look at the travel trends, people don't fly to Dubai, they fly through it, right? Huge connecting hub. It's perfectly placed geographically, as is Abu Dhabi, to go so many places in the world nonstop. And that's exactly what people were doing. All right, so much for all those guesses. Let's go to the photo of the week, but we'll start with the photo from last week because I was stupid and forgot it. The photo of the week from last week, the winner is Carmen Palogruto. Look at that shot. Where was it? Well, guess what? She was on a Holland America ship, and she got to the beach on their private island, and guess what? There were two of the ships there, and notice the empty beach chairs. I love it. I hope you didn't stage that shot, Carmen, but thanks for sending it. We appreciate it. And now let's go to this week's photo of the week. The winner is Colleen Bonadonna. Look at those colors, folks. You know where that is? A lot of people might say Curacao. It's not. It's Venice. It's Venice, but not in the typical part of Venice. Not on the Grand Canal, of course. Not in Murano, but close. It is in Burano, right? We're talking about the back canals. That's where you want to go, because that's where the real color is. In a city that some people say is just a fabrication. I don't believe that, but there you go. Back canals always work. All right. So thank you to Colleen and thank you to Carmen. And if you think you've got a photo worthy of our photo of the week, you know where to send it. Peter@petergreenberg.com. And if we love it, I promise not to forget next week. We'll put it right on the show and congratulate you for it. All right. Let's go to some of the questions you sent in. Bill says, how do you see the new COVID variant affecting the travel industry? I don't. We're rolling with the punches now. We're rolling with it. We're not ignoring it. We're being responsible. John says, Peter, I can't remember now, but which travel insurance did you say protects you for COVID reasons? I didn't say it protected you. I said the insurance industry is now pivoting to come up with policies that will now cover you in certain circumstances from a COVID positive test if you're traveling. One of those companies that I mentioned is Allianz, Allianz. Check them out. There are others as well. Kovac is another company that will do it, but find out the exact coverage as well as what you're not covered for. This is the time to talk to a travel advisor. Don't do it online. Talk to a travel advisor. They can sell you the insurance, but as I say every week, they can talk to you and walk you through the hieroglyphics of the language of their policy so you know not just what you're covered for, but what you're not covered for, what the exclusions are for pre-existing medical conditions, for age, or for the place you're visiting. All right? All right, here's one from Michelle. Is COVID testing readily available in Prague, or should I take my own at-home test with me? Your at-home test is a joke. You need to be tested for somebody who can verify it. Don't do the at-home stuff. I am not a fan of it. And the answer is any hotel in Prague can get you to the test, but do yourself a favor, go outside the hotel to do it, because if they come inside the hotel, it suddenly became $200 or 180 euros, if you get my drift. So you know what to do. Okay, there we go. Let's go to some more questions here. Where are we here? I'm almost there. I'm scrolling through these questions. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Julie says, a friend said on Facebook that she was travel hacking. What does that mean? Well, that's an entire show. Here's what a travel hack means. It's a scheme. It's a method. It's a secret that you use as a shortcut or as a way to get from A to B. So here's a travel hack that I do. I don't check bags domestically. I FedEx them. That's my travel hack, right? Here's another travel hack. If I have to check bags and you get those barcoded baggage tags, I don't assume anything. I don't assume that the airline's going to actually send me an email alert telling me where my bags are, right? Usually they send me an alert telling me where my bags aren't. So I take those barcoded tags to the gate, because every airline, I won't say every, most every airline, at least in the US, scans the bags as they put them in the conveyor to put them on the plane. So they know exactly where those bags are. All you have to do is show the bags to the gate agent and say, hey, can you double check and see that these bags were loaded? And if they say they can't do it, talk to somebody else at the gate. They can do it. And then you know that the bags are actually on the same flight that you are. Those are two of my travel hacks. And now, Julie, you know what a hack is. Well, another hack is a bad travel writer, but we won't talk about that. Okay. Warren, does your arrival day to Japan, including travel to your quarantine location, count as your first of 3 days? It does. Elisa, hi, Peter. I didn't hear my question answered last time, and I'm wondering your recommendation for a place that won't cost a leg and an arm in the Maldives. You mean as opposed to an arm and a leg? The Maldives is expensive. The Maldives and the Seychelles are two places where you need to get need to get an estimate for a Diet Coke. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough call. I don't really know about a lot of bargain accommodations in the Maldives. It's just not set up that way. It was developed for high-end travel. It was developed for exclusive travel, and you will pay that price. Let me check into it again. I'll look, but I haven't seen it. Alex, I'm confused on if I need a reservation in the U.S. National Parks this summer to get in, or is it only required for those who are camping? Oh no! If you take a look at the most popular parks, they're gonna shut them down. Everything from, it's not just Yosemite and Yellowstone, it's Acadia. So call the NPS number or go on their website, nps.gov, find out what the rules are for each park, how the hours have been changing, and what the requirements are for entry, not just for camping or driving through, for entry. Because as America withdraws inwardly this summer, a lot of it because of what's going on in Ukraine, the domestic travel scene is going to get very crowded. We already know what the airfares are doing. You can imagine what's happening at the national parks. Not all of them. That's why you're going to check in online. All right. Debbie says, I saw the cruise ship prices went up. When will they go down again? When nobody's cruising. Sorry. Again, the 5-letter word that come out of your vocabulary is later. I'm not here to promote cruising. I'm here to give you a real world scenario on when you want to book. Do it now, right? Cruise lines within the next month are not going to be faced with excess capacity. And if they're not faced with excess capacity, it's the law of supply and demand. You're going to pay more, all right? Especially if they're cutting back on a lot of summer cruises to the Russian Far East or to Russia. That means they have to reposition ships, and it's going to get a little crazy. So book it now. Okay. Lynn says, if boosters aren't mentioned on entry rules, are they required? Will you be considered fully vaccinated? I'm looking at entry to Dubai. No, boosters are not mentioned as in entry rules. Vaccinations are. And if you can show proof of vaccination within that reasonable cutoff time I just told you about, then you may not need that booster. But my guess is, based on that 270-day cutoff line, in most countries, you are going to need that booster. All right, let's scroll down and see if we got any more folks talking to me today. Does the EU count as international if you're going to LHR? No. Can you say Brexit after me? It's interesting. I'm going to talk to you about something called the EC Rule 261. I might as well talk about it now, because the airlines won't talk about it. But if you're flying within the European Union or to or from it, and the airline is either delayed, canceled, or they bump you off the flight, you qualify under the EC Rule 261 for compensation up to 600 euros and an overnight stay at a hotel. Plus, they have to fly you to where you wanted to go in the first place the next day. Are the airlines volunteering this? They're not. Do you qualify for it? You do, under those circumstances. So remember that. You have to bring it up. Second of all, You mentioned LHR and London. Guess what? The United Kingdom doesn't come under the EC rule at all anymore because it's no longer in the European Union. You can thank Brexit for that. Okay, but at least if you're flying in the other 26 European Union countries, you are qualified for that. Okay? Okay. Gary says our cruise ship will be stopping at Ponta Delgado on San Miguel Island. We're talking about the Azores. What is the one thing we must see? Well, you need to call ahead because I'm telling you, one of the most interesting things I've seen in the Azores is the bullfight. No, not the bullfight you think I'm talking about. No, in this bullfight, the bull doesn't get killed. The bull doesn't get gored. The bull doesn't get stabbed. It's more of a bull race. And it goes from village to village on each island on different days. So find out if it's going to be anywhere you're going to be when you get to that island. Then stand behind the barricades and you're going to have a very entertaining time, right? Don't stand in front of the barricades because then other people have a very entertaining time of you being thrown in the air by a very angry bull. But the bull doesn't die. It's the way to do it, all right? And nobody was harmed during the making of that story. Okay, let's keep going here for a second. Okay. Oh, all right, Stephen, I'm going to read this because my wife is not far from this. Stephen says, I'm looking pretty dapper, Mr. Peter. Hope your better half is keeping you on a short leash with all those bathing beauties following you there at poolside. I haven't even turned around, all right? And my wife is over there, okay? I'm doing quite fine. Thank you very much. All right, on that note, some housekeeping notes before we say goodbye. Our radio show, of course, is tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Check your local listings. It's Ion Travel on CBS stations. And, of course, it's repeated as a podcast almost immediately starting on Sunday and Monday. So, again, check it out, Ion Travel. Again, Royal Tour Tanzania, premiering less than a month away, April 21st. Please check your local listings. I think you'll be surprised in a good way when you see what we saw and what we experienced. And, by the way, what you can experience in Tanzania. You know, our rule when I do these Royal Tour shows is that I can do nothing with a head of state that my audience cannot also do. So it's all about accessibility, as it should be. And just the difference is my tour guide happens to run the country. So I hope you get a chance to see it. I will see you next week. And I might surprise you from where I'm coming from. So I'm not going to tell you, but there won't be any horns. There will be no horns. All right? Oh, wait a minute. There might be horns. That's another tip, but I'm not going to tell you anyway. Everybody, please remember what I said at the beginning. Do whatever you can to help out those charity organizations providing the relief to Ukraine. Let us know if you have other suggestions of ways people can help, and I'll see you next week. Be safe, everybody.